Oh, man. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
It's Venus.
What? Okay. Okay. We've been doing mouth sounds from ever since we've lost the ability to air horn it up. And you're gonna come in here with it's
Venus.
The name of the okay, now I feel
the name of the turtle. The name of the 5th female Ninja Turtle in the TV show is Venus. In the comic books, it's Janeka.
Okay. I prefer Janeka. Venus seems like a letdown.
It's Venus de Milo, which I guess they were trying to stick with the artist name. So it's Venus for short.
Okay. For anybody who's curious, we were referencing that this picture is still in our overlays. And we had to talk about the fact
original Ninja Turtles TV show back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or 80s.
Absolutely.
2000?
No, it was 90s. 97.
90s.
Yeah.
97.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Films in Black and White. I can officially say with gusto and excitement, a happy Christmas time to everybody. I hope all of you will enjoy it. Thanksgiving is now behind us. Let the celebration of the next holiday begin.
Everybody but Doug was singing holiday cheer songs as soon as November came. Doug was the only one that was trying to stick by this rule that you can't play Christmas music until after Thanksgiving.
That is not true.
He's been like that since I was working for Doug. He's always been like this. He refused to let us play Christmas music up front until after Thanksgiving.
I got my principles. That's just who I am. My son, however, has basically in typical offspring fashion has made the decision that he doesn't give a shit what time of the year it is. He's gonna sing Jingle Bells when he wants to. So basically all of last week and then the week before, he was jacked about Jingle Bells. So
love it. At least it's not Mariah Carey, because then I would have to take a knee with Harrison, because
hey buddy,
we don't like that. Hey buddy, we don't do that.
Not today
or tomorrow.
Marcus, how was your Thanksgiving holiday, sir?
It was pretty good. It was solid. I was literally So here's the thing, being in Vern by myself, single black man, ladies, I'm out here. I didn't really do anything. So I literally prepped a last minute meal and just decided, I saw a recipe I wanted to try out and was like, you know what? I'm just going to cook for myself, which is what I typically do. But I was like, I'm just going to cook. I wasn't going to cook before. And everybody was kind of like, well, you can come here if you want, or you can go there.
Sure.
All the plans were kind of not like real in full. So found a recipe, went to the store, grabbed some things last minute, and then I just cooked for myself, ate with myself, and I think I just watched some TV, and that was it. So it was really, really chill.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really, really chill here. But what about you, Doug? I know you traveled.
I did travel. I went up to Minneapolis to see my folks, and it was a good little trip. So we got up there on Wednesday and then just kind of hung out for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, came back Sunday. What was really cool about the trip and what I enjoyed is we were able to maintain our tradition of going to see a movie on Thanksgiving. So we're one of those people that every year, when someone pops in the turkey, our family would have usually gone to a movie to let it cook, right? Because it needs to sit in an oven for basically 2 hours. And so we would go and do that. And this year, Brittany and I were able to take Harrison to a movie while Harper took a nap. So the three of us saw the Disney movie Encanto.
How was that?
I really enjoyed it. Harrison, I think, kind of went in and out. It is a straight up Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. It's a straight up musical, but I really kind of appreciated the story behind it, and it was well done. I mean, I don't think that guy can miss. I'm not gonna lie to you.
On the scale of In the Heights to Coco, I know he didn't do Coco, but
I would say it's got more music than Coco, but it is not as musical as In the Heights. So it's a nice balance in between. And I think the story is solid. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So it was cool to be able to do that. And other than that, it was just kind of cool to get out and be up in the cities and kind of take it easy. So it was nice. It was some good R&R, which I appreciate it.
Yeah,
so
that's a good little vacay, good little break, and it's good. That's pretty cool to keep that tradition going. That's always Thanksgiving movies and holiday. That's like one of the I remember like I don't know. There are moments like that I remember going to go see a movie on Thanksgiving or seeing a movie on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Or something like when movie theaters used to do specials, like they were like come on Christmas Eve to watch this movie, and that was like considered a big release, right?
Right.
So those movies always just hit different. Those and matinees.
I remember that's how I saw Toy Story when it came out. Like I remember that like when Toy Story got released in theaters, my family and I went to go see it. And so I have some other movies that I distinctly remember seeing at that time. So I remember like back when we lived in Kentucky, that is when Wreck-It Ralph came out. So we saw Wreck-It Ralph like in theater on Thanksgiving Day. So we had a lot of moments sort of like that.
Wreck-It Ralph is that old now?
I don't think it's that old, but it's just one of the, I mean, it's 7 years old, I think, at this point.
Damn.
Which is
that still feels like a fairly new movie, which it is, but it's like it still feels like one of those. Wreck-It Ralph is considered, I guess, a classic now, like a classic. Right. The first one, a classic Disney.
And movie. I think it's because the sequel came out so fast. Okay, like we had a sequel, like bam, like right away.
Yeah, they didn't waste any time.
No, not at all. So, but Marcus, we have a wonderful news episode for us to get to. But first, we need to play Catch That Quotable.
Catch it.
And if anybody is joining us today and wondering why you don't hear our third co-host, Brian Roush is still welcoming his new baby into his family, so he's still taking some time away, and we are so happy he is doing that. We got some pictures of the family today, group chat, which was a wonderful addition to my day. But and shout out to Maggie and Brian.
Brian out there being Papa of the Year, Maggie out there holding shit down at the crib.
That's exactly how it's going down. But Marcus, it remains Black History Year. So, sir, I believe last week that you went first. So how would you like things to happen this week?
Actually, I think you went first last week.
Okay, whatever.
No, okay. Yeah, you go first this week.
Okay, sounds good. Here we go.
I'm pulling up. Oh, there you go.
Okay, I got it. All right. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Revenge is never a straight line. It's a forest, and like a forest, it's easy to lose your way, to get lost, to forget where you came in. It was a little clunky, so I'm going to read it again. Revenge is never a straight line. It's a forest, and like a forest, it's easy to lose your way, to get lost, to forget where you came in.
This sounds like a warning.
Yep.
It sounds, the first thing that I thought when you read it the first time was Alfred talking to Batman, but the new in Dark Knight.
Oh, sure.
When he's talking to him and he's saying something around that.
Yeah.
It was either about a fever or there's a fire or there's something, but I don't think that this is from that. But that's the first guess that I got. This is clearly a warning, though.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Somebody warning somebody about before you take the revenge. Remember this, motherfucker. That like you can get lost.
Yep.
What movie though? This could be anything.
It could be anything.
It could be anything.
You ready for the hint?
Yeah.
Your hint is samurai.
Oof. Samurai?
Samurai.
What's the last samurai movie? Now I'm thinking Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai.
Oh
what's the last samurai movie? Okay.
Remember when Chappelle
I have a guess.
You remember when Chappelle used to do that like Mooney on movies?
Yes.
And he was he did one about The Last Samurai. He was like, Tom Cruise is The Last Samurai. Come on. Gonna make Shirley Temple as the last, and I'm not gonna repeat the last.
Rest
All right,
rest in peace to Paul Mooney.
That's absolutely. What's a guess, sir?
Okay, I have a guess, but
all right.
It's only because it's literally the most recent samurai movie I think that I know.
Okay.
Well, it's not even a full-on samurai movie. It just has a samurai fighting in it and swords. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I really don't want it. Can you read it one more time?
I will. Let me read it one more time so everybody gets it. Revenge is never a straight line. It's a forest. And like a forest, it's easy to lose your way, to get lost, to forget where you came in.
You know what I feel like this is?
What?
I feel like this is Kill Bill.
Okay.
But like, I feel like it's, you say samurai, the sword is I think that's a samurai. It's a katana.
Yeah, it's a Hattori Hanzo sword. Yep.
It's a Hattori Hanzo was the name. You know what? I'm gonna go with Kill Bill.
Well, you got it. It's Kill Bill, Marcus. You got to believe in yourself, man.
As soon as you said the name of this, I could not remember the name of the sword.
That's where I was basically like, he's got it, so I'm just going to nudge him along to the finish line.
Thank you.
Yep, that is exactly what it is.
Yes, I could not remember the name of that goddamn sword.
So this is when the bride goes to Japan to get herself a Hattori Hanzo sword.
That's right. And they're
she's
sitting in the dojo
sushi shop. Yep, in the sushi place, and he delivers her this warning. So yeah, there you go.
That's right. Right before she goes to go kill Bill.
Yeah, that's after Copperhead, I think, was the Yep.
Copperhead was Vivica Foxx.
Vivica Foxx, and then right before she kills
right before she goes and kill Bill's brother.
Not even the brother. Remember she went to that with the crazy 88. But I can't remember.
That's Lucy right.
Liu. She goes and kills Lucy Liu. Yep.
Wait, was that 2 or 1?
The first two.
That was 1. That was Kill Bill 1, right?
Yep.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Yep. Because there's only 2 that are killed in 1. Yep. And then there are 3 in
the brother, the 2. Nurse, and the brother, the other Viper, and then Bill.
Yep. That's 3. That's 2. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Good guess.
It's a good movie too.
No, absolutely. I gotta rewatch that.
Movies. Those are great. Volume 2 is always my favorite. I can rewatch that one all day.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I love that movie.
Okay, my turn.
All right, what you got?
Here we go. That's not mine. I hear patience is a virtue, but I ain't never been able to wait and see if that motherfucker true or not. I hear patience is a virtue, but I ain't never been able to wait and see if that motherfucker true or not.
I don't know if it's just the presence of the word motherfucker, but for some reason, Samuel L. Jackson is just screaming at me.
Yeah.
And it's because it's that
and motherfucker, the way you say it. Yeah. There's a certain execution of the word that makes that word the best.
Oh, absolutely. You need to have equal balances, mother and fucker. You can't like stumble into it. And, like have him motherfucker. Like you got to come at it like with both in equal parts. So, Marcus, I'm lost. I don't think I'm going to be able to make heads or tails of this.
Nothing?
It's not ringing any bells. The only thing that I have going for me is the fact that I have Samuel L. Jackson in this. So I am quite curious as to what your hint is.
Your hint is
direct me anywhere.
Your hint is going to be cowboy.
Cowboy. Okay.
Yes, cowboy. Which maybe doesn't help because Samuel L's been in cowboy movies too. I'll tell you this, not Samuel Jackson.
Got it. Marcus, I'm going to guess because I follow you on Twitter and because I know where you're at. Is this The Harder They Fall?
You goddamn right. Yeah, you goddamn right. This is The Harder They Fall.
I really like that movie.
I fell in love with. There's rarely movies that I will watch twice because I have this fear that I'm not gonna like it if I watch it the second time. So I'm I really want to enjoy a movie, and sometimes I'll like a movie so much I won't watch it a second time. But this movie was so goddamn good. It was just well done. Like, woo.
Marcus, I came on this podcast
3
weeks ago, I said this movie is very much your shit. And I am correct to this moment that it is very much your shit.
He verbatim came on the spot. And him and my mom both said, Marcus, you would love this movie.
Your mom called you in the middle of the night.
She called me in the middle of the night and was like, Marcus, you need to watch The Harder They Fall. I said, Mama, it is midnight. Why are you calling me?
Why are you calling me?
And why are you up?
That's incredible.
So, yeah, it was a good movie. That was definitely The Harder They Fall. So
good. Awesome. Really good. Hey, we both got it, which has not happened in quite some time. So
it's been a long time since
we started this podcast. Has moved both of us to get this correct.
All thanks to Harrison. I'll just give him the credit.
That's absolutely right. Marcus, we have a news episode this week, and some things happened over the course of today and even over the course of the last week. So, Marcus, kick us off. What do you got for our first piece of news for discussion this week?
Of course, you know why we are all here. What is this podcast if we don't talk about Spider-Man?
Spider-Man in
what is
black
this
and white,
podcast if we don't
basically.
talk about Spider-Man forever, essentially. So there's there is a lot of different moving pieces. I'm trying to find the story right now, but essentially what
Yep.
happened is they announced today that Tom Holland is going to be sticking around as Spider-Man for 3 more films right after No
Yes.
Way Home. So
Yes.
there'll be 3 more, specifically 3 more Marvel produced films, which means Sony still holds the rights. Marvel will still have their tie-ins and still be able to tie that Spider-Man story into it.
Yep.
But this was the news, and this is from comicbook.com. Amy Pascal, who is the producer, tells Fandango that this is not the case. In the interview, she says there are plans for at least 3 more Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
Holland is returning for at least the next movie. Marvel Studios is still involved in making the movies, and they'll go from there. And in further conversations with Amy Pascal, she was also explaining the way that the universes are split up as far as Sony is concerned and Spider-Man.
Sure.
You have the Spider-Verse, which is where the villains lie, Morbius and Venom. You have the Sony properties, which is more so Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, like that Sony property, the way that movie did so good. And then you have this lane of the Marvel and Marvel produced Sony Spider-Man, where they all respect each other and how they operate and how they can often blend into each other, how the multiverse works. But she says they operate and work together so that they're additive and not like divisive. So they clearly have a plan.
Really smart. That's really smart.
It's what DC should have been doing a long, long fucking time ago, or at least they explained it that way, and shit would have been a lot better, but that's a different story. So Tom Holland, who is 25, is going to be Spider-Man for a whole nother set of trilogies.
He's going to be eating that bread till he's 35, which is fine.
Good. Yep.
How
do you feel about this, dude?
The first thing is I'm excited about it. And also I have here are my 2 like knee-jerk reactions. One, I'm excited about it. Tom Holland, I think, has been my favorite Spider-Man so far. I think he's balanced both of those things really, really well. And I don't think that takes away from like Toby or Andrew. I think they're both good in their own right, but Tom has been my favorite thus far. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do over the course of the next 3. What I will say is my other knee-jerk reaction is I can't trust shit anybody says ever unless they work as a studio head. Because I think the only ones that really know anything about what's the plans are the people, the producers in the background, like Kevin, and in this case, Amy.
What made you say that?
Because of what Tom said 2 weeks ago, where he said, like, if I'm playing Spider-Man to my 30s, I've done something wrong. Like,
here's the thing I think about that, right? And not to cut you off, but here's what I think about that. I think that I think Tom is saying the same thing that a lot of athletes say, right? Because I just heard an athlete say, if I'm playing football until I'm 44, I'm not doing things right or I'm broke, right?
Yeah.
But there's a difference in playing the game for the love of the sport and playing the game for money. And I think that Holland is, and this is obviously me more so projecting and like trying to pick his brain, but the pressures that have come with this particular movie have gotten on my fucking nerves as far as fandom goes.
This whole thing has pissed me off.
I'm so ready for the movie to come out just so everybody can shut the fuck up, right? So I can only imagine what Tom Holland is feeling when they're in his business about him and his relationship with Zendaya and all of this fandom, this real fandom for the first time of you get to carry a movie and all of the rumors that come with this and what people think should happen and what they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Of course, I would probably say the same thing. Like, listen, I don't think I want to be playing Spider-Man forever.
For sure. I couldn't handle that pressure. I mean, the tickets went live yesterday. Today. Yeah. The tickets went live today and they are already being sold on eBay for like $100 because they were that difficult to get tickets at AMC theaters to see this movie. So there is a very real possibility that it's going to be a challenge to see this movie in a theater, and it's going to take some time for everybody to be able to see it the way they need to and the way that they want to. But part of me is like, can we calm the fuck down for just a minute? Like, I know it's supposed to be really good, but can we just calm down for a second? Like, we don't need to do this all the time. So that amount of pressure, yeah, man, I don't think I would have cracked a long time ago. I would have immediately after, like, even before after the first trailer went out, I would have been like, yo, y'all got to do something and keep these fans happy or keep them at bay, because I don't know how much longer I can, one, the pressure of not being able to keep a secret, and two, the pressure of like, I heard Tom's done, like, and all the different like wild, crazy fan theories that are coming out of this. It's just been frustrating.
I mean, I feel like, okay, Tom is 25. So like, because Tom is 25, obviously his, the mindset of a 25-year-old is different. What I am glad and happy for is that he was able to do other things outside of Spider-Man to make so that like we don't just say Tom is only good at being Spider-Man.
I really don't want him to be typecast.
And I don't think he is. I think he's doing this Nathan Drake movie, which is I think it's going to be good. I think Tom Holland has a niche for playing certain type of characters, and he has a certain look about him. And I enjoy him as an actor. I enjoyed him when he was in The Devil All the Time. I enjoyed him when he was in Spider-Man. And so like, he has a range to him, and I think that helped him not put him into a corner. But like RDJ, on the other hand, when he made his comeback as Iron Man, a lot of people only saw Iron Man, and then even when he did other movies, people were kind of only asking about Iron Man. And I know that happens a lot, and I know that that's a thing, but I'm hoping that he still remains and keeps a love as Spider-Man. I'm excited for this. Let's say it. Let's be outright, right? We were right again. Again, we were correct again.
I don't know what we have to do to tell you people that you have to just listen to us, because we're gonna. I mean, like Babe Ruth, we call our shots like ahead of time.
Yeah. We hit that motherfucker every time. Every time we say something, it automatically comes out, or we predict something or feel a certain way. We've been right about it, and that's not to be cocky. We just letting you know what our record is, okay? Because records stand. Okay, so we told y'all that it was rumored that they were going to do several trilogies of Spider-Man movies.
I think you broke that rumor too.
I do believe so, but this is a team effort, so we broke the rumor. You know what I mean? So, you know how I get down.
Well, I appreciate.
Yeah. If I get credit, you eat, I eat, we all eat. You know what I mean? Right. So it came on here and we talked about how they had the first set of trilogies, and it was going to be him in high school, right?
Yep.
And this is what this is. This is what this looks like. This looks like it could be senior year. It could be, God knows what point in time this is.
Yeah.
So then you go and they make this announcement, and we told you they're going to do a high school, a potential college trilogy. I mean, a college trilogy, and then a potential adult trilogy to wrap shit up. And everybody was like, we don't know. Nobody was really catching on to that. But now with this being confirmed, you get to tell a full story and grow with a hero. And I don't think I've ever seen this before. A 6-movie trilogy outside of like Star Wars, obviously, right? But even Anakin's story was told in episode 1 through 3.
Right. Yeah.
So imagine growing with a character over the span of 6 movies and then getting some type of final conclusion. It's like Iron Man. You'll have the same appreciation and love for Spider-Man when it's all said and done that you have for RDJ and Chris Evans and Thor.
10 years of those guys reprising their roles and popping up. And so, this is the one thing I'm gonna say. And it needs to be said.
Yeah.
As excited as I am about this casting, because you're right, like getting a high school Spider-Man and getting a potential college Spider-Man, a college Spider-Man and an adult Spider-Man is really, really cool. And I'm excited to see what happens with that. What makes me nervous is I feel like this movie is going to set a benchmark that I don't know if they can maintain. Because again, like let's talk speculation, because as far as I'm concerned, nothing is confirmed. Everything is still up in the air, but let's just talk. Let's assume that the rumors are true just for a minute. Let's say there are other Spider-Man in this. Let's say there is a Toby and Andrew come back for this. Let's say we are seeing 5 villains with a potential 6th that is kind of, who could that be? Yeah. What the fuck do you do after this? Where do you go from here? Like, what's the trajectory of Spider-Man in college? I mean, he's dealing with maybe more adult problems, but man, like what could he as a hero? Maybe not as a Peter. Maybe this is where we have to split them up. maybe Spider-Man's life becomes a little bit easier because he's getting better at it.
Oh yeah,
And
but Peter's
maybe,
life gets harder.
but Peter's life gets harder.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing and a great character study to look at. Will fans, especially with how voracious they've been these past few weeks, are they going to be satisfied with that? I mean, I will be, but will they be satisfied with that?
The answer to that particular question, that part of your question for me is hell no, because they're
Absolutely not.
ungrateful. And like some of these fans are so fucking entitled and ungrateful. They will never be pleased. Because even after Endgame was done, people still hold Marvel's next phase, phase 4, which is a rebuilding phase, which is what it's always been, right? It's a breakdown of what happened. If you look at Marvel's phase 4 now, in my eyes, this is my opinion, the way that Marvel Phase 4 is set up right now, it is the after effects of everything that happened after Endgame.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're dealing with the fallout with Loki getting the cube.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was Endgame that happened. Mm-hmm. We're dealing with the fallout of Wanda. We're dealing with the fallout of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, even now we're seeing fallout, especially with Hawkeye. I mean, the first 2 episodes of that came out last week on Wednesday. That has some significant fallout from the events of the Avengers as well. There's a lot of like cleaning up a mess here.
And you have to have the thing that fucked us up was, and we talk about it on this podcast, is we didn't know what was happening in phases, the first 3 phases, right?
Right.
We didn't know that there were phases. We didn't understand that this is how they're telling this story and that it's all connected. But now that we know, it's like you think you know everything. And when you think you know everything, you spoil it and you fuck it up for yourself, right?
Oh, 100%.
And that's exactly what we as fans, and some of us, and even me included, like all the speculating, I had to just like stop looking at the spoilers and stop looking at the breakdowns and shit, because I was like, I just want to be able to enjoy the goddamn movie.
Well, and for me, it's like it's that like spirit of like wonder and surprise. And I can foresee that if I spend too much more time with some of these spoilers and some of these like trailer breakdowns, it's almost like I'm creating an expectation. And if that expectation isn't met in the theater, that somehow I'm going to think that movie isn't good or worthy of praise. And that's why this is hard, is it's like, on one hand, I think speculating is fun, like it's a fun game to play, but I think you have to be lighthearted about it. And there are some folks who have taken that lightheartedness to an entire other level, and I just don't understand.
And to answer your other question, because we had the conversation in the chat, I am a fan of this trilogy. I am a fan of this announcement of a second trilogy, right? Because I think you could do so much with it, and it's a possible window to introduce. Brian had a great point, Spider-Gwen, or Gwen in general, Miles Morales. Like it's so many windows. And I think the goal isn't to top it. I think is to continue telling a story. Right. And I think if you set a goal to top something, you'll miss the whole point of achieving it in general.
Fair point. Very fair point.
I think that you tell the story about Peter being Spider-Man. At the end of this movie, people are going to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Okay. I feel like that's coming 100%. I don't think you can continue this universe the same way that you did Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like they did it with Iron Man, where Iron Man, you knew who he was and this is how he operated. This is a kid and he's not rich. That's true. I think that at the end of this movie, my speculation is 100% people forget. And when they forget, including MJ, I think MJ forgets, his closest friends forget. And now he has to balance being They remember who Spider-Man is. They just do not remember who Peter Parker being Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think that's another great point to bring up, is I think it's going to be hard to tell where they go until we see what's unfolding in the movie that's supposed to come out in, now 16 days. And so we're not really going to know until we get there. So that's a very fair point. I do think that there's some really cool opportunity to kind of like explore some things. Like if we are getting a Fantastic Four movie, I think they said in like 2024 is when that's supposed to pop. I mean,
you have to have that crossover.
He's a member of the Fantastic Four. And
at minimum, he's best friends with Johnny Storm.
Oh, for sure.
Minimum.
I mean, yeah, and he will walk into, in the old like original 74 comics, he walks into the Fantastic Fours, like to the Baxter building, and he's like Baxter building, and he ends up talking mad shit like, I told you I was the strongest and I was the best, and they're like, who is this motherfucker? Like, and so it's kind of cool. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see some stuff like that like happen, but there's a lot of cool things that they can do with it. I think there's a lot of really cool MCU storylines that we might get going forward.
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars could
Doug
be
has
really
said
cool.
that several times.
Yep, which means it's come on, everybody.
Probably gonna
November
happen.
29th at 8:30. Like, it's gonna happen. So likely you can cite it now or we can cite it later. But I think there's some cool stuff that could come. I mean, I could see them wanting to try to do a Civil War II storyline. You know, I could see them wanting to do that and maybe trying to do Civil War better than they did with, not that I didn't like Cap's Civil War, but I think they could maybe do something that was a little bit more comic book true. But there's a lot of cool stuff. So I'm excited about the announcement. I just hope that the fandom can be appreciative of what this means. Yeah. And simply put, just calm the fuck down, please.
Calm the fuck down.
Please calm the fuck down.
So what you got, Doug?
So what I have is actually to kind of scale back and go back to Ghostbusters just for a second. So Ghostbusters Afterlife is considered to be a success, and it did quite well, and no surprise that we love that. But Sony Pictures Entertainment has officially signed the film director and co-writer Jason Reitman, as well as the executive producer and co-writer Gil Kennan, to an overall producing deal. And so basically the idea is the president of Sony Motion Pictures is quoted as saying, quote, "Jason is the thing you dream about, a world-class signature storyteller, visionary filmmaker, and dream producing partner. Jason and Gil, as co-writing partners, have a remarkable understanding of commercial quality cinema." So essentially Sony has said that they are so excited about what they are, like what they have coming, and what they did is that they are like going to invest in that going forward, which means they could be doubling down on getting more Ghostbuster stuff, which is something that we talked about. But I think there's also this idea of like just recognizing them for their quality work. I mean, Ghostbusters Afterlife was an incredible story, so getting some more work on that end. No report on what that deal is worth, but we will kind of see what happens from there. But I just wanted to take some moment to say, like, we talked about how much we loved this particular movie, and so we'll kind of see where it goes from here. So
there's a phrase in there that I'm a little worried about.
Sure.
Commercial
quality cinema.
That.
Yep.
And that the only thing that I heard when you said that was generic movies.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that I also had that like red flag kind of go like, hold on a minute. So, and again, I think so commercial quality cinema means to me this idea of like, we're no longer going to invest in like quality stories. We're turning out things that appeal to the masses. So I'm a little cautious. I think I trust the two of them. I think I trust Jason and Gil to do good work, especially based on what I know. And some of their other body of work is pretty impressive too. Reitman has received before this 4 Oscar nominations. He had 3 for the movie Up in the Air. And then he also had, he was nominated for Best Director on the movie Juno. And so, and he's also done other great things. He was the director of the 2018 film The Frontrunner, and he also produced the Oscar-winning film Whiplash. So there's part of me that like,
so he got some shit on his belt. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's got some chops, but that phrase is concerning. But I suppose if I put myself in the competition these days, and we talk a lot about it being Sony versus Disney, but really this is a competitive market across the board. And they are trying to make things that are commercially successful. I mean, that's how studios make their bread and butter. So I get the point, but that is a concerning statement in that quote.
Yeah. I mean, I get you do need commercial because commercial sales, commercial is dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm looking at Ghostbusters Afterlife, it is how do I word it? It's a movie that you could commercially sell.
It's a pick up and put down movie. Like you can do the back reading if you want to, but you don't have to. Yeah. And you got a lot of opportunity to partner with other businesses to do. I mean, that was for Christ's sake, a Walmart paid to have a portion of the movie in a Walmart. Yeah. So there's something to be said there.
This movie, this is gonna be a stretch, but I was thinking about it the other day, and you know what Ghostbusters Afterlife reminds me of?
What's that?
The first Jumanji. The way that the story
The
is
reboot
told.
Jumanji or the very first one?
No, the very, very first
Oh,
one.
the old school Robin Williams one.
Old, because it gets right to it, tells you the
That's
story.
true.
I mean, it wastes no time in getting to the funk, right? And it's
Yeah.
an easy watch. I know what's gonna happen.
Oh, for sure.
And I can still watch the movie like I watched it for the first time,
Yeah.
100 times, for 100 times. So like for me, this Ghostbusters Afterlife is a commercial movie because you had all of the sponsors in there. You had this good story. And I think that if you are a good producer who naturally turns out commercial product, perfectly fine with me. If you're getting a producer because they can,
right,
I think that that's a different thing. It may sound the same, but to me, it's two completely different.
I think it is different.
zones.
And I think the best comparison is Jason Reitman versus Michael Bay. Now, their movies are
Right.
very different. Like,
Mhm.
Michael Bay has been big budget action movies.
Yep.
And Jason obviously prefers a little bit lower budget, but still a robust story. And I
Mhm.
think the difference is that like Jason has considered I'm talking like he's my friend, like
Yeah,
Jason and I.
Jason,
Jason and I.
Yeah, y'all know Jason. Come on, y'all.
But Jason has said, like, he turns out things that deserve some level of recognition. Not that, I mean, the Academy is biased, so that's nothing to hang your hat on. But these have been commercially successful.
Yeah.
They've been appealing. They've been enjoyed by a wide variety of audiences.
Mhm.
And he keeps trying to do and maintain the same level of quality through acting and writing. Whereas Michael Bay, who was the golden child after Transformers, and after even like the Bad Boys movies, his big hanging hat was, do you like explosions? Boy, do I have a movie for you. And
I have
that's
several movies for you doing the same goddamn thing.
Do you still like explosions?
No,
Boy,
Michael Bay, I've gone deaf.
I'm tired of explosions. I can't feel my ass cheeks from the surround sound rumble anymore. So please just relax. So I do think, though, that there's something to be said there of that comparison. I would much rather see Jason be able to basically get recognized for his good work, where we maybe skip past the Michael Bay commercial. So I think that the same word can be applied to both, but I think for very different reasons. And I'm fine with that.
And shout out to them. Shout out to them for getting the deal. I hope we do see more good movies, not just Ghostbusters.
Oh, for
Obviously,
sure.
you want to build upon that franchise, and if there is a story there to tell it. I absolutely. Even if it's not connected within the same universe that we saw before with the same characters, even if you're expanding it, whatever that looks like, but also new movies. Like I'm the first one to say I love comic book movies, but we need more than that in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
like if this is a space where we can create more other movies and because two things can exist at once, that you can have this and that, you know what I mean? You can have your cake and eat it too. It's cake. That's what you're supposed to do. And so like, I'm excited. Maybe this is an opportunity for more.
I'm excited too. And I think to that point is like, and somebody brought this up as I was reading through comments on something, and somebody made the point of like, specifically at Scorsese's comments, and I don't want to bring this up again, but I do think that there's something to be said. Like, I love comic book movies, but I don't want to see more of those at the sacrifice of losing smaller voices and independent storytellers. Like, I hope that studios use their success from these big budget like comic book movies to continue to take chances and risks on smaller storytellers, because I think that their voices are important. So to your point, I hope that we do need a diverse, broad like list of voices. So I hope that we see more of that going forward. And I'm just excited that maybe with this, since they are quality storytellers, we will be able to see more of those like unique stories and perspectives and writing come out more now with deals like this. So I think that's absolutely a great point to bring up. So, but that's what I had for my second one, and it was very relevant to what we had chatted about last week. So
shout out to Jason.
Shout out to Jason. Marcus, what else you got?
All right. So are you a fan of Magic Mike? I know I am.
Oh,
so,
Jesus. Okay, this is
you didn't like my transition?
We're not being paid by Magic Mike. That was like an ad.
Maybe
Do you like washboard stomachs? Well, good news. Magic Mike is back in the headlines.
You like washboard abs and long socks? I've got the show for you. All right. So that's the Magic Mike is
Oh,
moving forward with Channing Tatum and Steven Soderbergh at HBO Max. So it's been nearly a decade after the debut of Magic Mike, which we all know is
okay.
the stripper movie, is basically essentially what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Bunch of greased up, sexy
The female
motherfuckers just
thirst trap movie. I got it.
popping that thing in your face like that if you like it. So
Yep.
so basically they are going to develop the third film in the franchise, which is going to be called Magic Mike's Last Dance. And it's going to debut exclusively on HBO Max. The film will be written by Reed Carolyn, who wrote both Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL. Gregory Jacobs, who directed XXL, will serve as a producer, with the majority of the cast of Magic Mike returning to this film. So it looks like Channing Tatum is gonna pop that thing and
Pop that
3
thing.
times for the finale.
And you said Steven Soderbergh was was involved
Soderbergh,
in that as well?
yeah. Mhm.
Well, what's interesting about that is, like, he's not known for those type of movies. I mean, he did the movie Traffic that was back in 2000. He directed
Interesting.
Aaron Brockovich.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot of this. He was
He's
the
a man of
executive.
many talents.
He's a man of many, many talents, because
Yeah.
I'm like looking through his filmography and it's like so random. Like, it's just all over the place. He was the producer on Good Night and Good Luck. He was the producer on Syriana. Like, these are all like movies that were like really, really well done. And then you go and you're like, it's like, okay, he did I'm Not There, and then he did Solitary Man, and then we need to talk about Kevin, and then Magic Mike XXL. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like it's all
Steven
over the
Soderbergh,
place.
he is he likes what he likes. He supports the sex workers.
That's
You know?
fine. Somebody's got to. And
Somebody's
also,
got to.
I'm calling my shot here. I know that this is called, was it Magic Mike's Last Ride?
Last Dance, but Last Ride is
I
the
like
Pornhub
Last
version
Ride
of,
better.
yes. That's the porn.
Like,
That's the Pornhub title, the one that you just gave. But yes.
I'm not going to be able to not call it that now. Okay.
Magic Mike's Last Ride.
Okay, Magic Mike, The Last Dance.
Magic Mike, The Last Straddle.
Not this motherfucker's last dance. Like, this guy is gonna be in. We're gonna get like Magic Mike Back to the Pole. Like, it'll be like a reboot where Channing Tatum like owns his own strip club now.
Back to the Pole.
Back to the Pole. We're gonna
Back to the Pole, but it's really about voting.
Yeah,
it's about the next election.
It's like when Magic Mike takes on he's running for Congress.
Yeah. Turn his whole life around. Magic Mike, back to the pole.
Magic Mike, back to the pole. We're gonna get Magic Mike freshman class. Where
is this gonna be like what was those movies on MTV that Ryan Reynolds was in, and it was like a series of
like Van Wilder? Yeah, it's gonna be a series of Van Wilders.
Yeah.
I will say this about Magic Mike freshman class: they will do lowercase C and L, and they'll capitalize class.
So it's class.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. So then eventually we'll get down the road. It's like American Pie, where Magic Mike 8 stems so far away from the original Magic Mike that probably had some roots to it.
Yeah,
it's just literally about a bunch of just male strippers.
Yeah, Channing Tatum will be in it, like driving a truck in the beginning, and they'll be like, "See, he's one of the originals."
Yeah,
and that's all that they need.
Yeah, so, and he'll be in a Gambit outfit, because what else is he gonna do with that?
That's a very good point.
So
yeah, I'm okay. Cool. Like, that's just kind of how I feel about it. Like, I don't really give a shit, but also at the same time, I mean, good for him. I mean, obviously, it's an interest. It's not for me, but some people think it's an interesting story.
I have not seen a single Magic Mike movie. Right? Not to say that I am that, like, my sexuality is not frail or anything, but it's just not. I don't think that movie was for me. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that movie was for me, and I had no interest in it. I don't even know what the storyline is. I just feel like that wasn't for me. Yeah, kind of like 50 Shades of Grey. That also was not for me, and I had to watch that to find that shit. To find that out, I got the hiccups. Magic Mike gave me butterflies in my stomach.
I too did not watch Magic Mike, and I'm entirely comfortable in my sexuality. I think the problem is if knowing myself, if I watched Magic Mike, there would be a strong possibility that as a joke, I try to emulate some dance moves and end up pulling a hammy. I'm trying to pop that thing, and I pop a disc out of place. Is essentially what would happen.
Yeah,
but I also
safety first.
I'm scared to say out loud because we know how the people on this podcast are fans of this podcast have us watch shit of us both saying we have not seen a single Magic Mike.
I should not have said that at all.
We've now opened a door here.
I just don't want to watch a greased up. There was a scene that was released, right? And it was Joe Magigello, and he was like greased up in oil and popping that thing on a vending machine in a gas station. And I was like, is that what this whole movie's about?
And that's,
like,
you know what
bothers me? A man in jorts?
Yeah.
Is that goddamn Deathstroke in jorts? Why the fuck is Deathstroke in
that
jorts?
Is Power Fist himself in jorts.
Goddamn G.I. Joe is in motherfucking jorts.
Yes, that's exactly what this is. Mr. Arch Enemy himself, greased up in jorts, is where we're at, which is fine.
Adam Egypt is frowning upon you right now.
Yeah, we all got to get paid, and I get it. And if somebody wanted to cast me in a movie where I had to wear jorts and they were like, hey, Doug, here's $10 million. Will you be in jorts? Sign me the fuck up.
I'll do it for $500. I'm not even going to hold you.
You know what? I'm going to say this right here. Hey, Channing Tatum, if you need extras to be in jorts,
we'll do it.
Sign us up.
Body positivity. That's what we're all about here.
Consider us for the roles of the middle-aged dudes in Magic Mike freshman class.
I'm not middle-aged.
You will be when that one comes out. It's going to be in like 10 years. So
listen, you want fat black man stripper name right off the top, Jelly Roll. I'll do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's some ingenuity there. So
keep it gushy.
That's
Magic Mike 3. Keep it gushy.
Oh man, we that whole one could be called Magic Mike Double Stuffed.
Yeah,
that's the double entendre there.
Magic Mike Eclair. That means I'm cream filled. Or
and sticking with the donut theme, I'll call myself Long John. And
there you go. There you go. What's the
Magic Mike? Back to the bakery, number 10. That's what it is.
Magic Mike, apple
where
idea what it means.
And that is the Magic Mike where the strip club is about to go under, and they have to have a bake sale in order to make their money. But they realize it's all about the dance. It's not about all the extra.
It's not really about the dough. Yeah.
About the dough. That'd be a fucking great one.
See? There you go.
I love that.
We did it.
There we go. We did all the work for him.
We got to be careful on this podcast. Our powers, we've been right. So I feel like we're manifesting shit from this podcast that we just probably manifested that shit.
There's some fates up in the world that are like, do that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, Magic Mike, the last ride.
2 days from now, there's going to be an announcement. And we're going to be like,
we've decided to announce another trilogy of Magic Mike films like Spider-Man. They are going to go side by side in parallel. Magic Mike, the last straddle.
Yeah, the Buddhaverse, which is just about Magic Mike in different universes.
Wearing the
Buddhaverse with different booty shorts that they have to wear in different universes.
the Coochie Cutter universe.
Oh shit! I did not know. By the way, I think the Buddhaverse is going to be the AKA for this episode.
Oh, I thought that was perfect. I thought that was perfect. Yeah.
Well, all right. There you go, Magic Mike in the news again, which is a little surprising.
I'm just here delivering everything you need to know.
That's okay. What I have for our next one is over the last week, the movie House of Gucci.
Everybody's just
like a mulligan on that one. So House of Gucci.
The House of Gucci is hilarious because it's all about just male Gucci's. Not even about a lick of fashion. Just
that's the Pornhub. That's the Pornhub title of Gucci. House of Gucci. Yeah. So anyway, House of Gucci came out this last week, and it was a Ridley Scott movie. So he's been in the news for a lot of different reasons. But the heirs to the Gucci fashion empire have said that they are thinking that they are going to sue Ridley Scott and others that they are to protect the name of the name of image and likeness of those of their loved ones. And this comes from the former Gucci chairman Aldo Gucci said in a statement published by ANSA, which is an entire Italian wire service. Essentially, he says that Ridley Scott and those who were producing the movie didn't actually consult with any of them before making it. And they are really not pleased with how these folks have been like portrayed in this movie. They really had a big issue with the portrayal of Patrizia Reggiani, which was the character that was played by Lady Gaga. Basically, she is claimed to kind of be a victim in the movie. And that they like did not see that as the case. And so there's some issues here. So they are thinking that they may end up like suing this. As of right now, the movie has only made $21.8 million over the course of the past 5-day opening.
That's why they're thinking of suing. They ain't
Right.
made
They
enough
want to
money
see
yet.
how much more money this makes. And I just think it's interesting only because, one, Ridley Scott is in the news again for running his mouth about millennials. But the other reason why that this is like interesting to me is it's like you didn't consult with anybody. Like I've never heard of a biopic, like a
But you
biopic
didn't
movie
consult to the people
where
you're
you
making a
didn't
biopic
like
about.
base it off of a book or
Yeah.
base it off of like, it seems like they were like, yeah, let's do this story about this family. But we're really just kind of go off of what we think we know.
Off of rumors and secrets. We'll go off some shit that we heard in a bar one time about the Gucci world.
Right. And the other reason that this movie, I think they're going to wait and see, and I think the other reason why they take issue with this is this movie's kind of been, I don't want to say panned, like it's not considered to be bad. There are people who are interested in it, but what they're kind of having a hard time with is like some of the characters in the movie are both very serious and then simultaneously very campy, like all at the same time. And so I think that there's some issue, and that's just based off of some general reviews that I've listened to and read. I haven't seen it myself, so I could be wrong. But I think it's interesting and probably some motivation for their lawsuit. So thoughts on that at all, Marcus, about this particular lawsuit or just this in general?
No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like how it like I'm interested to see how it plays out, to see if a lawsuit is actually filed or not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, come on, Ridley, like do your homework before you end up like running your mouth and doing a movie. Like double check, ask people to corroborate stories, and at least hold yourself, especially if you're going to go on this long tangent about how millennials ruined your last movie, which is the other reason why he's in the news, because he made the statement that what was the movie that he did?
It was
The Last Duel.
The Last Duel.
And he said that it bombed because of their goddamn millennials and their goddamn cell phones. And it's like, do your homework first before you start running your mouth. Like maybe use a cell phone to call the people who you need to double check this shit with.
The cell phone exists because it's a computer in your hand that obviously you didn't use for this goddamn movie.
No.
And so I guess I'm kind of split, because I'm like, I am not just gonna make the people who want to sue a victim automatically. Just because you sue somebody doesn't make you right.
No, that's true.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm not just gonna say that y'all are the victims. Y'all don't like the way you were depicted.
Yep, that's true.
And granted, like movie, it's art. It's about perspective. And yes, he should have talked to you about it, because if it's a biopic, you should talk to somebody about it. I don't know if there's anywhere. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gonna watch this shit. So like, I don't know if anywhere in this movie there is not based on the true story, or these are not factual
usually
events.
That comes like to the tail end of the credits where they're like, these are based off of these are inspired by a true story, but all that says is, yeah, we kind of took some liberties with some things and how they actually happened. That's a good point, though. I mean, just because they're suing doesn't mean they're right. I mean, a lot of this stuff, the way that they were portrayed, could be true, and they're just pissed off that they
got aired out
that way.
Then it got aired out. So that's why I really Scott, like, bro, just sometimes you could just shut the fuck up.
Just do less.
Just do
less.
Just do less. Make the movies you want to make, and if they're hits, they're hits. It's an all-star cast, and I'm not gonna knock the movie. I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm just not interested in it, like in the fashion world and all of it. It's just not my particular, field. It's not my movie. But so what I will say is, you can't be so judgy on people, because you just never know.
True.
When shit comes back to bite you in the ass, and shit comes back to bite people in the ass quicker than not. So like,
that's very true.
Just keep that in mind.
True. Absolutely right. So, but that was my second piece of news. It was kind of interesting. There's an article in the Hollywood Reporter that if you're really curious, you can go and check out. That's where I got that piece of news from. So check that out if you want to. But Marcus, what do you got?
I'm gonna give you an option. You tell me which direction you want to go.
Okay.
Do you
Okay.
want to hear
Choose your
about
own adventure.
the Merriam-Webster's announced the word of 2021 has
Okay.
been revealed, or would you like to hear about all the stuff that I have been watching and my thoughts on them?
I want to hear about what you've been watching, but let
Okay.
me cover my last piece of news and then I will turn it over to you about all the things you've
Okay.
been watching and what you thought of it. So,
Sounds good.
the last piece I have is, again, it comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Over the course of the past weekend, we got our first glimpse at Jurassic World
We did.
Dominion.
Prologue.
It was sort of a 5-minute prologue.
Mm-hmm.
And basically this movie follows up. It shows all the 65 million, so all the dinosaurs back as they originally existed and in their natural habitat, and mosquitoes floating around, and then there's some big foreboding with that. And then it fast forwards to a T-Rex basically terrorizing a drive-in movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool. And this is kind of a way that they did it. Like, I appreciated like that sort of foreboding and some of that like hype and some of that buildup. And I'm kind of excited. The dinosaurs looked really good. I was really impressed with all the stuff there. Essentially, the theme for Dominion is that the movie will pick up right after Fallen Kingdom, which saw Isla Nublar getting destroyed and some of the animals escaping into the like basically the rest of the world at the end of the movie. So it's kind of cool. I imagine we're going to get a much more intense trailer soon. And the movie's been delayed until June 11th, 2022 because of the pandemic. But just kind of curious about one, Marcus, did you watch the prologue? And two, what are your thoughts based on the prologue of what the movie might be?
I did watch the prologue, and if y'all listen to the podcast, y'all know I'm a fan of Jurassic Park. We are fans of Jurassic Park. And just recently rewatched the trilogy. I need to watch the first two of this new set of
I need to watch Fallen Kingdom. I saw Jurassic World, but I didn't see Fallen Kingdom, and I like Jurassic World. That one looked good.
Fallen Kingdom was good, if I remember correctly. So like it is what it is. It's the same dinosaur movie, just set in a different time period. That's what all Jurassic Park is. The as technology gets better, you get better dinosaurs. So like
True.
I watched the prologue. It was really good. It didn't really give you much. It just kind of gave you a glimpse as to what's about to happen. And I think it was a good warm up. It was just a good reminder of, hey, remember what happened in that movie? Great. Here's how it looked here. Here's a new dinosaur.
Sure.
Here's what it looked like way back then. Here's what it's going to look like when they're loose in the streets in the goddamn world. So like,
that's true.
I just thought it was interesting. I kind of watched it by accident because I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it was very beautiful. That's what I think I tweeted.
Yeah, it looked really awesome.
It was so beautiful, but then it was just like it went from wow, this is goddamn beautiful to goddamn, this is terrifying. It's a dinosaur loose at a walk-in movie or drive-in movie. So.
And there were so many like throwbacks to the first like Jurassic Park with the like Jeeps getting turned over and then turned around in a circle and so I thought that was kind of cool. But you're right, like visually stunning for that first like 3/4 of that particular prologue. So
it was good. I'm excited. I love Jurassic Park as long as they can do it right. Our guy, the voiceover master,
Mr. Mario himself,
Mr. Mario and Garfield himself is going to be the lead in that again, along with maybe Bryce Dallas Howard, I guess.
Yep, she's back in it as well.
So it'll be interesting to see what direction they want to go.
And it's also bringing back Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, and Laura Dern as well.
So it's
going to be a full circle like bow on the now 6-part movie because of the first original 3 and then these 3. So.
You thought they would have learned their lesson after the first one, but no.
Not so, Jesus. I mean,
you would thought.
At what point in time do you have to keep cloning these motherfuckers and them eating people for you to be like, maybe we should stop doing this?
I talked about this yesterday when I was watching one of the movies. I was watching Lord of the Rings for the first time in over a decade.
Oh my God.
And I'm rewatching the trilogy. So that is my new journey. So if you want to follow that journey,
goodness.
I am on Twitter tweeting through it.
I've read some of those. You're going through some stuff with this movie.
This movie fucked me up because I damn sure thought that the elf was Leonardo DiCaprio up until yesterday. And I just don't know what to do. I went to work and somebody was like, "I thought you were kidding," and I was like, "I was dead serious."
That's
I
incredible.
dead ass thought that was a young Leonardo DiCaprio this entire time and not Orlando Bloom. So my mind was blown.
I have a lot of questions.
We'll get to that. Well, a lot of movies do this thing where they really call us out. They call out man about being so greedy for power and so greedy for money and all this other stuff, and we just kind of laugh that shit off like another silly movie. But they're right. That's the reason that there's 6 Jurassic Park movies, is because every generation there's a rich motherfucker who's like, you know what we would love? Dinosaurs.
Yeah, and the other thing is like this, not only just power, but the like, look at this silly man who thinks he knows better. Like at some point in time, it's like, can we stop with this?
Yes.
Like, we know you don't know better, so maybe you should just shut the fuck up.
Just shut the fuck up. Let the professionals handle it, and just sit the fuck back.
Yeah, everybody just relax. Speaking of Lord of the Rings and sort of transitioning to what you watched this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Can I ask a question about who thought it was a great idea to let Peter Jackson make a documentary? Because this guy has never been succinct. So my parents really wanted to watch the Beatles documentary that came out on Disney Plus called Get Back. And we all sat down. It was Friday. We all sat down. We're like, all right, we're going to watch this. And we're all like, great, it'll be a great documentary. Marcus, I shit you not. This is just like behind the scenes footage of them like talking in the studio. It's basically I'm watching 4 people practice musical instruments for 2.5 hours. And the other thing that kind of like grinds my gears about it is that it's a 2-part documentary.
Oh.
The first part is 2.5 hours. The second part is 2 hours and 53 minutes.
Oh my God.
This documentary collectively is close to 6 hours. And I'm sitting here, and I said this to my mom, and I said this to Brittany. I was like, who let the man who made Lord of the Rings, which are a 3-hour like fucking adventure across time, who let him do a documentary? He's not brief. Like, let's let this go.
He's not brief at all. And that was when I was going to go watch. So what did you think about the documentary? What did like you and the family think about the documentary?
It's interesting, but here's the problem is that like you tune in because we all know the reason why. I mean, the Beatles broke up inevitably because they just got so exhausted like with the songwriting process, and George Harrison was frustrated because he never thought that he was listened to, and then McCartney and Lennon were always bitching at each other about who gets credit for what song, and then Ringo's just kind of there, like, and so
every good group ever.
Yeah, so it's just but the first documentary ends with George Harrison saying like, I quit. It was 2.5 hours to lead to 5 minutes of like, and because what they do is they say like, he says like, well, I'm going to leave. I'm at, like, he just gets up like in the middle of like a performance because they're basically getting ready to do this big performance on, basically where they recorded the album in live called Get Back, which is where one of their like biggest songs comes from. And he just gets up and he's like, I'm out, like, bye. Like, and he just leaves. And that's how it ends. So you spent 2 hours and like 15 minutes to lead up to a payoff of he walks away. And I feel like we didn't need all the shit that was in there, like leading up to that moment. And here's the second thing. And let's just talk about Yoko Ono for a moment, if I can. I get why people blame her for being like responsible for them breaking up. Marcus, do you understand that this woman,
somebody put him on the main stage,
is just sitting there? She's just sitting there. They're having a big fucking conversation where they're literally like practicing chords and playing like fun songs that they like. And she's just sitting there. And there's a part of me, and I said this to my mom and Brittany. I said, after watching her just sit there for 2 hours, I want her to get the fuck out of there too, because she could be doing so many better things with her time. So I get the frustration.
You know what? I understand that from a different perspective of just when you are working and you are in a mode and in a flow, and even with the frustrations of working and trying to get somewhere, and you just got somebody in the room who's just taking up space, just breathing freely while I'm
just
stressing the
taking
fuck out.
air.
Just a warm body in a space.
Get the fuck out of there! Like, go grocery shopping. Get
Don't
the
you
fuck,
have a
go
life
do
to live?
anything else.
Yes,
I
yeah.
need you to go do something else. Anything
I respect
else.
that. I respect
please.
it.
What did I think of the documentary? I mean, it's well produced. I mean, it's very interesting to hear, like, because you do get to see like their songwriting process, and you do get to kind of see how they got to that point. I just think it could have been a lot shorter. I mean,
Why
I don't
did
like
Disney
to.
get this?
I think it was through National Geographic,
Okay.
or Peter Jackson agreed to produce it for him. I don't know. They sacrificed a few small children on a ride at a theme park, and the devil was like, "You got it!" Like, and that's just how it worked. Like, I don't know how they got the rights to it.
I'm starting to think that's how The Rock is so successful. I'm thinking this motherfucker's throwing kids off a mountain in his backyard.
Space Mountain is real, and it's in The Rock's backyard.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think he is definitely throwing kids off of that mountain.
Yeah. I think he's feeding them to the bass in his pond. Like, that's how that's working. It was good. I'm not going to watch the second half because it's really long, or at least I'm not going to watch it all in one sitting. So I might split it up just to see if it's interesting. But it was just too much. It was too long. I couldn't do it. But tell me more about the Lord of the Rings, Marcus.
I mean, so I spent my weekend. I spent my weekend like recharging, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Indeed
kind of did not respond to text messages a lot. Everybody was calling like, "Are you okay? Are you dead?" And I was like, "No, I am alive, just in my house." And so
this is where I will remain.
That's exactly what I stayed in the house and did some homework, caught up on some shit, you know what I mean? And just made my time my time.
Absolutely.
And so I spent it watching, which surprisingly enough would have us having a podcast where we review movies and TV shows all the time. Do not have a lot of time to just sit and watch TV.
Funny how that works.
Sit and watch stuff, right? It's so strange to me. Like, I'll come home and sometimes I don't even want to watch TV, or I want to watch something that it's like comfort food. I want to eat something that I'm familiar with. I want to watch something that I know, that no twists, no turns. Like, I kind of know where this is going, kind of in the background, kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And that's no knock to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That was why I love that movie so much. I mean, that show so much.
It's a great show. Yep.
So I spent the weekend watching a variety of different things, and I'll save Lord of the Rings for last. And what I'm going to do is just give you a quick review of what I've watched, my 5-star rating, and my quick little thought process was it. And this is all on Twitter too. So if you all want to go there, just once again, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, everything. Marcus J. Destin. So out of 5, here's where I started. The Harder They Fall. Obviously 5 stars. Obviously 5 stars. So I said that I might have to go back again. The cast, which is all black, the action story, the shots, the soundtrack. This wasn't a good black movie. It was a good movie with black leads, which is a completely different thing, right?
Oh, very different.
Just a really solid movie in general. And it's not a good movie because it had black leads in it. And The Harder They Fall was amazing. One of the most memorable parts in that was the pistol whipping scene. So they have the pistol whipping shot where you follow the pistol to the face when Idris Elba's character is whipping the hell out of Dion Cole, and whipping the gold teeth out his mouth. So that was where I started. 5 stars.
That was a beautiful shot. I also liked the first time that I think Zazie Beetz walks into the club and they're singing, and that girl in all blue is dancing.
Yes,
I thought that was
Idris.
I thought that was like fucking gorgeous. Like that whole shot, top to bottom, the black and the gold, and then the juxtaposition of the blue in there. Like, I thought that was just absolutely gorgeous. This movie was really good.
This movie was really good movie. So it was a really good start to and y'all have heard me say it before, I hate Netflix. And I try not to go on there as much as I can, but it gives me so much like anxiety. It's so much shit on there. And so going on there and going directly to that, I was afraid to watch it because I was like, I hope this isn't bad. All black cast, and it was great. It was amazing. Next thing I watched was Hawkeye. So I gave it 3.5 stars only because Hawkeye is not all the way through with just the first 2 episodes. You know how Marvel gets down. They did their first 2 episodes and I enjoyed it. So only 2 episodes were released. And the second episode is the one that got me. I have no idea why, but I think it was progressing that story of where Hawkeye's character is and how Kate Bishop and all these people around him view him, and then how he views himself, and then the consequences of like all this shit he's been through. He's not done with Nat and how he lost Nat, and he's not done with like technically being an Avenger, you know what I mean? And so like he's dealing with all this shit post in-game, post all of this shit, this life that he's lived, and he just wants to be a good dad. I enjoy that kind of story because it's the human perspective. There's no magic. And that's one thing that I think Hawkeye, not Hawkeye, that's one thing that I think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was missing, was that human component, that Cap and Bucky are both human, and how they dealt with shit post everything that just happened.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'd watched the first 2 episodes today, in between meetings and at lunch and stuff like that. I'm worried. About this show after watching the first 2. I liked it. Like, I thought it was something fresh. I thought it was something new. I also appreciated the humor. I appreciated the human component. I especially appreciated how serious Clint takes being a dad after being gone. Like, I mean, he is making up for lost time. And I think that's a very like deep, and especially for me, like that's a very deep and compelling story. I'm worried though. I'm worried that we're gonna, I want to make sure that we keep that throughout, because if I think back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that started out with some like, these are the issues at play, and these are like, this is where Sam's at and how he feels about things and the things that are important, and then that was abandoned for like an entirely different storyline. So I really want to make sure that that's maintained throughout. I will say that, like, based off of like my knee-jerk reaction, like if I was judging what I think this series, how I will enjoy this series based off of this reaction, I think it will still fall behind WandaVision and Loki, just because when I watched those shows, I remember kind of like hungering for the next episode to come out, and episode 2 of Hawkeye did not leave me with that same feeling.
I think that's great feedback, and I kind of said the same thing, and I think Brian and I said the same thing in the chat, where we're hoping that they can keep this tone that they have. Here's where I think that they have the upper hand as far as not fucking up the storyline like they did with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How am I say this? I'm black. I'm gonna start by saying that.
Okay.
They don't have to go down they don't have to tell the same story that they were trying to tell with Sam. Sam being a black man, being Cap. That's a lot of stuff that they could not just cover in, how many episodes was that? 8?
6.
They couldn't cover, they can't cover all of that shit that comes with being black Captain America in America episodes at the time that we are, in 6 episodes, and then cover the repercussions and the trauma and the ripple effects of everything that just happened prior to that, and try to cover Bucky's storyline at that, and try to cover a villain story. It was too much shit going on.
A lot of yes ands in that.
It's a whole bunch of commas and no periods, and that's where they fucked up. And for me, for Hawkeye, I think that because he doesn't necessarily have to deal with that kind of storytelling, he can tell a different kind of story that won't take as much, that maybe you can solve in this next episode and the next, and then by the time you get to the next one, you're kind of telling the rest of the story about Kate and where she is.
That's a great point. And I think you said that like that was a lot of commas and no periods. I think that that's a great point. And it kind of brings me to this point of like, the series is called Hawkeye, so it feels like there are 2 one sentences for each main character. This is Hawkeye becoming Clint Barton, and this is Kate Bishop becoming Hawkeye.
Yep,
that's exactly what 2 periods, nothing else. And that's exactly if they maintain that the whole time, this will be an outstanding show, and I will absolutely love it.
They seem to be sticking close to the comic.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever read that, the comic book.
I read a first couple issues of it, but not super deep. But
I think not super deep. But the art, if you look at the art after the credits when they're rolling, it's the same. It's the same thing. And the comic that they're sticking with, they seem to be in the first 2. The Tracksuit Mafia. The other, I forgot what the other gang was, but Echo was also introduced at the end of this last episode, so they seem to be sticking with it. I'm interested to see where they go. They kind of hit the ground running. They didn't do a lot of Hawkeye. No, like I'm brooding right now. Like he seems to be kind of getting, people perceive me differently than I perceive myself. I understand that, you know what I mean? And so I'm kind of glad he's not being a stick in the mud. But that's kind of where I was with that. I
Sure.
really enjoy the character Kate Bishop, and I hope that she's the
Oh,
leader for the
Haley
Young
Steinfeld is
Avengers.
awesome.
Haley, thank you for giving me her name. Haley Steinfeld is
Yeah.
amazing and a natural in this goddamn show, and I see why she didn't have to audition for the role.
No, she's
I think Kevin
perfect.
Feige said she was like that was Kate Bishop, and
I
so
completely agree with that.
amazing. Keeping it going, Young Justice season 4, Phantoms. Okay,
Okay.
so if you've never watched Young Justice before, Young Justice is about the sidekicks, quote unquote, of the major DC superheroes. So Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all of them. If you go back to season 1, it starts them off in a young, while they're Robin and their Kid Flash and their Aqualad. It starts them off young. They develop their own smaller team that is like a mini Justice League. When the big dogs got to like go away, they handle secret missions and shit like that.
Sure.
Then they become this Young Justice team. They have expanded that over season 4. In season 3, the fans had to rally together to get them to do another season. And season 3 was really, really good. And now they're on season 4, which is on HBO Max, and they're doing their 1 episode release now, which I have problems with because we could just be going back to cable, but that's a completely different thing.
But anyway.
Yeah, so I gave this 4 stars. It's in a really good place. I'm not going to give any like big spoilers away, but always love the show. The animation is great. The character development is awesome because I've grown with these characters over the span of 4 seasons, and like the comic accuracy to the decisions they would make and the thought processes are like A1 for me. And so like I'm really enjoying it. Superboy is my favorite character in this because you actually get to see him. He's not a dick. You think he would be a dick and he turned at some point because he's half Lex and half Superman, but they cover that topic, they develop that topic, then they move the fuck on from it, and that's what I enjoy the most. And so they're doing what they're doing in this season is they're dissecting real world issues in real time. So like they are doing it from a superhero perspective, where, for example, they're covering racism, but on the world of in Martian, as Martians. So like it's green Martians don't like the white Martians, or the white Martians don't like the green Martians because they feel like they're higher than. And it talks about what that looks like from the world of John Jones and Megan, as she's like taking Superboy and she's marrying Superboy on this planet and bringing them there, and they're all just like giving them hell because she's like, how can you do this? Do you think you're better than us? Blah, blah, blah. There's a whole war going on. And so it's covering these real world situations that are happening in real time. And I think, and it's has these poetic tie-ins too. Really, really good. So I think, you know, if you're interested in that, go ahead and watch Young Justice season 4, Phantoms. All of this is on HBO Max. I told, except for The Harder They Fall. That was not on
that's
HBO
on
Max.
Netflix.
The Jamie Foxx show, love that. That's on HBO Max. I've all 5 seasons watched it. I watched 2 episodes a day of the Jamie Foxx show. Love that show growing up. 5 stars for me. It's a musical tie-in. We all know Jamie Foxx is like multi-talented. He could do so many different fucking things.
Yeah, he can do a lot of different shit.
And he did all of this shit in the show. And it was like, the show is not the most compelling or like with the most substance, really. It does not have the most substance. It's just quick. It's fun. It's something just to like taste and go. And it's not something I would watch to look for like, I need something more. Like,
well, I think the other thing is that like if you like comedy now, like shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and if you like shows like you know, that exist in this space now, you have to go back and watch the Jamie Foxx show, because as far as like, first off, black sitcoms, and then secondly, comedies, like I think it really was a great paved the way for what characters could be in that environment, like in a sitcom environment. Like it paved the way for to say like we don't have to have, we can give main plot lines to black characters, and it's not gonna, ratings won't suffer as a result. So
and you know Fresh Prince led that, and Family Matters led that, and Jamie Foxx and In Living Color. If you ever get the chance, go back and watch these black shows and these black sitcoms.
Oh, for sure.
Because it like the Jamie Foxx show to me was more improv-y because Jamie could do it on the fly. He seems like it was scripted for everybody else, but for him, it was improv, and then people would react to what he was trying to do. You know what I mean? And so that is why I enjoy. It's very kind of like SNL-ish. In Living Color, go back and watch those. But it had this musical component because Jamie could sing. He was singing songs and he was singing those, and that was what I vividly remember. So
that's really cool.
Jamie Foxx show. Justice League Unlimited, 5 stars. Bring this shit back. Bring back Justice League Unlimited. The whole animation, every episode was connected. They were changing clothes in the goddamn show. I just thought that show was fucking amazing, and they need to bring back They need to bring back Justice League Unlimited. Like, that show was so goddamn good. It did not over focus on your big heroes, and it focused on introducing some new heroes like Vigilante and like all of these no-name heroes you didn't really know before. It gave them compelling stories, gave like Green Arrow. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Outside of Superman, Green Arrow was always my number 2. Green Arrow was my number 2 hero because it was realistic. And I was watching Smallville, and I was a big fan of how they depicted that Green Arrow. And then I love the comic book. I used to have Green Arrow comic covers printed and hung up on my wall.
Oh, wow.
And so I still to this day love Green Arrow, and I hope that they do him justice one day. But bring back Justice League Unlimited. Star Wars Visions, watch that shit too, goddammit. And that was
shit is fucking awesome.
4 stars. I gave it 4 because I wanted more of certain episodes, so I selfishly gave it 4.
And some of them were like short, and you're like, I would love to have more of this. Like,
it was good.
That whole like the 2 Jedi battling the Sith in the mountain. That was fucking fire, and I wanted really more of that too.
That was good animation. One of my favorite ones was the Ninth Jedi. I really enjoyed the way that they told that story, and this guy being like, I want to get together these Jedi to recreate the Jedi, council. I want to reinforce like what it means to be a Jedi again. And that animation, the story, the build up to it, you had this little girl, and what got me the most in that one was, not to stick on it too long, what got me the most in that one was the lightsaber. He was like, her dad made the lightsaber. He was a sabersmith. And he was like, whoever holds the lightsaber, the saber will depict how connected you are to the Force and what color you are based off of like your connection to it. And so when she started, it was a black, dull, like it was kind of weak, but it was like, it would work for her. But by the end of that, she had a green, strong lightsaber and was able to join the council. And she was like a little kid. It was amazing. I love now some of the depictions, like the TOB1, I did not like it. It was too kiddish for me.
I feel like that, especially when they do stuff like that, they're trying to appeal to broad like animation styles, and especially to pay tribute to anime, because there are so many different styles of anime that people really like. I think that's why
many styles.
That's why the Sith in the Mountain appeals to me, because that felt very much more like Cowboy Bebop style like anime, which I absolutely love. So Star Wars Visions, it was cool to see all of it. Some of them I liked, some of them I didn't, but overall I appreciate the innovation and creativity and the risk taking. I mean, that wasn't a home run. I mean, you basically said, hey fans, just come here and hang out just for a minute. I got something I want to tell you about. It's not going to take a while. Just come on, everybody. I want to talk to you about it just for a second. And it actually fucking turned out really, really well.
And it worked. And I think that was great. A few more. Red Notice. I gave that 3.5 stars. Red Notice was weird. It was like Ocean's 11, and I think Brian described it perfectly. It was like somebody took a 90s heist movie and then brought it to the future and was like, what if we put 3 of the sexiest people on this planet? What if we just put them in this movie? I also feel like The Rock made this movie just to be able to kiss Gal Gadot. I just feel like that.
I mean, I hope not, but
you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know
feel
what
like
he
it was
goes
kind of,
through.
I don't know. He's a happily married man. I know that. And
that's
like,
true.
I don't know if they're an open relationship or not, but these were 3. It was Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock in the goddamn movie. It's not going to be a bad movie. No. It was just kind of lengthy in some areas and didn't need to be, but I did like the twist at the end. Army of Thieves, really enjoyed that movie.
I got to check that out. That's on my list.
I think that, because we watched Army of the Dead and we talked about it on this podcast, y'all can go back and listen to that episode. Zack Snyder, who y'all know is probably my number 1 director, at the moment, my number 1 favorite director. Zack Snyder is building this universe, but he's building it backwards. And so what I'm enjoying is being able to watch Army of the Dead and then being able to go back and watch Army of Thieves, and they have that quick tie-in, but this is still its own separate movie with it.
That's
still
really cool.
Following that same character that existed in Army of the Dead.
Is that Marcus? Is that set in a zombied world or no?
Yes, it's the beginning. So, so where they have it is, they say, oh, you know about that outbreak in America, right, with the zombies. And so it is mentioned. It does have zombies in it. It's almost like it hasn't reached them yet. So that's kind of where they stand right now.
Got it. Okay.
But it all ties up eventually, and they have references to that movie and all this other stuff like that.
That's
So
really
it's really, really
cool.
dope. Army of Thieves was really good. And last but not least, Lord of the Goddamn Rings. I watched Lord of the Rings last night, and I did not do the 3-hour, 48-minute
You did the
extended cut.
Fellowship, right? You did
I did
like
the
the
Fellowship of the Rings.
303 version.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't do the extended cut. I did the just the regular theatrical cut. And I tell you what, I thought I understood this movie when I was young. I think when I watched this movie, I may have been like 11, 10, 11, 12.
Damn.
I was young. And I remember watching it with my mom, and I also remember falling asleep in the theater on the last one. So I still don't know how the last one ends. I remember waking up and these motherfuckers was floating on the river. So I was like, I don't know what happened. So literally, it's been over a decade since I've seen this, and I had no idea. I thought I knew the gist of Lord of the Rings. I was completely wrong. Completely wrong.
Okay.
So I'm having this whole breakdown where why the fuck is Frodo the one that's got to do it? Again, Frodo was just walking around and motherfuckers just threw his ass a ring.
This is the thing that I've never understood about Gandalf, and I'm gonna say this because it relates to the Hobbit. This motherfucker like literally is walking down this wooded path, and literally is like, how can I ruin this guy's life? And it's like, really? Like, first off, he's basically 3.5 feet tall. So his life is already going to be harder than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And he's over here like drinking and eating cake and just having the best time. And he's like, no, man, it was your uncle.
Yeah.
You got to fix this shit.
Yeah.
He's like, eagles that can fly in the air and literally do whatever the fuck they want to do, and you're gonna make my 3.5-foot ass walk this from point A to point B to throw it at a volcano? Fuck you, man. Like, I don't want to do that shit.
That's a great question. Gandalf had an eagle come save his ass from this ass whooping, and then they had to walk through the mountains and through mines, and the pit of darkness, in order to get the ring. To where it needed to be.
Yep.
That seems selfish.
It seems asinine. Like, I know he's supposed to be a wizard and he's wise, but he did that shit with Bilbo in The Hobbit. He was like, hey, Bilbo, I told these 9 dwarves to come over to your house. Godspeed, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what?
Gandalf is an asshole.
He kind of is.
I'm watching this movie, not realizing that Gandalf is Magneto. Watching this movie thinking that's Leonardo DiCaprio the whole time.
I want to play this game with you where I almost want to play this game with you where I show you a picture of somebody and I go, who is this?
And you know what? I would lose every time because I just feel like people just look like each other. And I think that's an industry thing. There's an industry standard for looks.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm crazy for thinking that people look alike, because you're successful if you are moderately handsome or beautiful. And
Orlando Bloom especially, like I could see Orlando Bloom especially, he was like a younger actor, and so I could see, especially at the time, that being a little bit more of a like, yeah, you're gonna look pretty close because of how where everything shakes out.
Yeah, that's what's popular. Even the king himself is like, he's supposed to be grungy, a ranger, and he's supposed to be
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. And it's like, that guy's fucking ridiculously handsome with blue eyes and a fucking scruffy beard. Like,
he has the best beard I've ever seen.
It was slicked down. I'm like, bitch, you've been in the wood for 3 days and no shower. How?
Other questions I've asked. I don't need an answer, but I'd like one. Like, no. But I'd like one.
So I'm going through this whole journey of the Fellowship in the Ring, and my wrap up is, it's a good movie. I think it's a good first movie because they took their time to explain everything for the most part, and other things you have to find out like along the way. Like for me, my question, and Tanner, shout out to Tanner Frost, he answered the question on the timeline. I was like, well, why Frodo? Why not anybody else? And he kind of explained it'll show itself more over the movie, and kind of gave out why it was him, why he was chosen. And so it was a good movie. It had a great beginning. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens next, because I feel like now that I've started the story, okay, you got me. I'm hooked. I need to see what happens next. I found out why they call it the Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know what I thought the reason for the title was, but as soon as he said, we'll call you the Fellowship of the Ring. And as soon as Agent Smith said, we'll call this the Fellowship of the Ring, I said, oh, he said it. He
You
said
did
the
that thing.
thing.
You did that thing from. You did that Leonardo DiCaprio name. Like, whoop, there it is.
He did it. Yeah. He was like, well, hey, he did it. He said it. He said the thing. And so that was really cool. Seeing all these actors from all these different, like seeing fucking Magneto fight Count Dooku. And it was just, I don't know. Having experience, I'll say this, and this will be the last thing I say. I enjoy movies so much, right?
Yeah.
Because and TV shows, and I love good content, because being able to consume something at a young age where you don't really know what's happening, you just consume it, but it's because of the time and the era that you live in. It was just another part of that time, right? Another day, it's another part of that living. Being able to go and get some experience, some dirt on your nails, being able to live a little bit and then come back and watch and listen to something, and being able to say, oh, okay, this hits a little bit differently now that I've grown up. And now that I've consumed enough stuff and I watch, and now I'm doing it in, oh, look at the CGI on here, or look at the shots on this, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm watching it with a different eye, not to mention I'm also trying to consume a story that's been around for the longest time. The trilogy has been out for a while.
The
But
book
even
is,
with Harry
and
Potter,
the book is even older.
And the Hobbit before that. And so, like, even with Harry Potter, when I went back to watch Harry Potter, I was like, damn, I really did not understand. You know, sometimes you look at a fandom and you say, why the fuck is this so popular? And then you go back and watch and you're like, damn, Harry Potter was actually really good. It was done like fairly well. Like, yes, it has its ups and downs, but goddamn, it's 8 movies. You're gonna have an up and down in 8 movies.
I think one of the things I appreciate about like fandoms in general is I feel like people find them exactly when they need to.
Yeah. Good,
and I know that sounds weird, but like superhero, like in comic book stuff, like I did not grow up in that world. Like I grew up in the Lord of the Rings world. Like I grew up in the fantasy world. Like that's where I grew up. Like I played Magic the Gathering and I played Dungeons and Dragons a couple of times. I loved the Lord of the Rings. Like it was just kind of like that's how I grew up. But I feel like I found and really developed a love of comic books like shortly before like my son was born. So almost as a way to say, like, here's something you can share with him as he grows up. So I feel like you find things at the right time and when it's meant for you. And again, I liked Harry Potter. I thought the books were really well done. I thought the movies were good, but I think I almost enjoyed them just because they were popular. I don't think I ever connected with them as much as some other people have. I mean, there are people who have like, you know, the Deathly Hallows tattooed on their person. And I'm like, that's a fucking dark that's a fucking dark tattoo to get. Like, so
and for me, it was like, for me, Harry Potter specifically, there's a story that for me, I relate to things better when there's a story. And I vividly remember, you know, my dad, when Lamont and my mom got married, Lamont loved Harry Potter. And we would watch Harry Potter together. And there was one point where I think one of the scenes at some point, we all know in Harry Potter switches from, oh my gosh, it's so much magic and love. And then it switches to this shit gets dark.
Good luck, motherfucker. Like, that's hope you brought your tissues because this bitch gonna die. Like
that's exactly the tone, and it was like somebody went from ha 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 and they pulled a mask back and was like, gotcha, bitch. And it was like, oh my God. And so there was a point where my mom was like, okay, yep, no more Harry Potter, no more witchcraft, no more none of that shit. And me and my dad kind of looked at each other in the car, was like, we literally were at movie 6 and was like,
we got 2 left.
We have 2 left, and was like, wait a minute, we're not gonna be able. So we didn't watch it, and we kind of fell off that Harry Potter, you know, we kind of fell off the hype train of it, and, you know, went on about our lives, because when mama says no, mama says no. And then being able to come back, and when I rewatched Harry Potter and tweeted through that was me watching 6, 7, and 8 for the first time in real time. And it was like, man, I'm so glad that I went back and watched it, because as a kid, I was just happy to be there. Didn't really know what the fuck was going on, what some of these words meant, what these feelings meant. But now being an adult and understanding grief and understanding stress and anxiety and being somebody who deals with it, and then looking at Harry Potter like, bitch, you are 15 dealing with all this goddamn shit.
And the power of role models, because like not for people, like the spoiler alert of like Harry loses all of his idols. He loses all of them, where he only has to rely on himself and what he's learned from them, not necessarily their presence, but the more permanent pieces of them, like the lessons he learned from them. And I mean,
That's
he's
hard.
he's a 17-year-old. Like he's not.
Terry was goddamn 17, y'all.
Yeah.
That movie hits so much differently. And that's the same thing with all of these franchises. Jurassic Park. I loved Jurassic Park, and I swore up and down I hated Jurassic Park 3. Rewatched it, and I was like, damn, this movie's not that bad. It's just not as good as the other two. And you can tell it's a trilogy back in the 2000s and the 90s when they were like, you just got to give more dinosaurs. And like, okay. But I just love it. I love it. I love being able to go back and watch it. So I would say go back. All of this to say, go back and find one of your favorites and just rewatch one of your favorites. Enjoy it. Just enjoy. Don't overanalyze it. Enjoy it. Because it'll show you a different appreciation for when I went back and then started watching some of these Marvel movies again. I was being hard on Marvel because I was like, listen, if this is all I got to watch and this is all I can consume because I can't get those first moments, like those first moments where you appreciate a franchise. You're like, damn, I just fell in love with this franchise. I had that feeling all over again for Harry Potter. And I had that feeling all over again for something else I was watching, Justice League Unlimited. And I was like, God damn it. I feel like I can do this with Marvel. I feel like I can go back, rewatch this, catch up on it, and stop nitpicking shit like Eternals and all this other bullshit like that and just enjoy the fucking ride. That was a whole tangent, but yes.
And I think you can do the same with the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And I think I'm very curious to see where you get like in the Two Towers. And I mean, especially when things start to get dark in the Return of the King. I mean, there are moments, and we joke about like Gandalf being an asshole because I mean, he kind of is. But he has some pretty powerful statements in the Return of the King that brought me to tears. Like that brought me to tears in the theater because
Gandalf's not dead?
No, he's not dead, but he says some things, and there are some lines that
wait. Gandalf fell into a pit at the end of the first one.
Oh, fuck. Well.
Oh, he's alive.
You'll see what happens. Like,
oh, shit.
Anyway.
Oh, fuck. Okay,
he has some moments, and there's some things that he says throughout the. Well, when you see how he comes back, it's pretty cool, and it has more significance in the books than it necessarily does in the movie. But in the third one, I mean, he delivers some powerful lines that brought me to tears in the movie. I mean, I remember crying at the end of The Return of the King, but because of the power of the story that had been built up at that moment in time. So, and to your point, I would love to do an element on this in season 3 of this podcast where we do something called like throwback cinema, where we go back and watch something that we loved just to revisit it. As a group, because I would love to revisit some of these movies. Like I would love to go back and to revisit the original Star Wars with Brian. Like I would love to unpack not just like the movie itself, but to unpack like the emotion and the identity that's basically the movie that started it all. But I'd love to go back and do that with y'all of the movies that you all enjoy, just to unpack it as a team, to talk through it, because you can learn a lot about yourself, but you also can learn a lot about like the movies too through how people connect with them. So
that would be so. Because we all have memories attached to shit, and the feelings that we get hearing that first lightsaber sound, or it would just be great. And season 3, I'm telling y'all now, season 3 is going to be so fire.
We got some magic.
I can't tell you why, but it's just like our season 3. This is season 2 for us, right? Yep. And it is us just figuring shit out. You know what I mean? We just figuring shit out, going with the flow. But season 3, I really feel like we are hitting our stride in certain shit, from the graphics to everything else. And so I'm just really, really excited for season 3 and some of the new shit that we're going to be doing. So
absolutely. And we've got some, I mean, we're coming to the tail end of season 2, and we are in such a good place. So I'm excited about season 3 as well.
It's going to be great.
Marcus, anything, I'm going to plug a couple of things just to give you a break, because you just,
you brought the
funk with that one. So I don't have any other news for us this week. We will be back next week with a movie. We'll announce on our socials what that's going to be, whether that's something new or one of our Patreon folks recommended that we watch The Devil's Advocate, so we might watch that. We might chat about that as well. But I do want to take some time to plug thelovenerds.com. So we are in the holiday season, and sometimes giving a gift that is homemade, that you made yourself for somebody else, can be so much more significant than something you bought at a store. So check out thelovesnerds.com for all those recipes for those potlucks you may have to go to, or for a t-shirt you might want to make. They got some great stuff over there. Marcus, what is the mantra up to these days?
The mantra is actually about to open a store.
Whoa.
So the mantra, we just got confirmation today on a Monday that the store is almost ready to go.
Okay.
It has new stuff on there. What you're gonna see on there is gonna be new logos, and then you're gonna see a new logo, and you're gonna see the old classic all white Noah logo, but with a few new items. Okay, it's gonna be one hell of a time. The store is gonna be opening soon. That'll be follow the mantra.itemorder.com. Okay,
that's really cool.
All in the bios, and it's going to be affordable. The one thing that we did not want to do was overcharge and overtax people.
Sure.
We really want to make sure we're spreading the mantra and allowing the mantra to be put in homes, and you wear the shirt however you want to, whether that's a working shirt or you're styling it, whatever that is. We want to make sure that you're doing that. So follow us, __ the mantra. That's where the announcement will be. The store will be open very, very soon. I'm so excited. We've got joggers, we've got tank tops, we've got shorts, we've got hoodies, we've got blankets, we've got windbreakers, we got a whole bunch of shit on there. We got hats. It's gonna be great, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
I'm super pumped for y'all in this coming, because I know that this has been some work in progress, and their shit is comfortable. My relaxed fit is like like joggers and my orange mantra.
Yeah.
What is that? Sweatshirt.
It's a Noah hoodie.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing that I want to plug is I do want to talk and plug our Facebook page, our TikTok page.
I got it. Don't worry about it. So listen, go to the TikTok. Open your TikTok app. Okay. Go to hold on. Let me turn the damn Christmas music off. Go to Films in Black and White on TikTok. Okay. What you're gonna see there is a man dedicated to the craft. Okay. He's got this shit down to a goddamn Bill Nye the Science Guy science. Okay. He has gone viral. He has gotten his content stolen. And other people have used his content and ideas, which means, you know what? You made it, motherfucker. You gotta sacrifice. Give a little.
The other thing that I've done is I've riled people up to try to actively troll me as well.
Yes.
I've actually had to make a decision as to whether or not to block somebody. And
is that the one guy in the
that was like he was like roasting. He's like, "Oh, 1998 called.
Yeah.
They want their joke back." I was like, "Motherfucker, this is a joke." Like, relax.
Like, thank you, goddamn Time Cop. We appreciate you for putting a date on shit. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, TikTok,
but yeah,
go to TikTok. Follow us on TikTok. Doug is doing his goddamn thing. You can also follow us on Instagram at Films in Black and White, and you'll see the reels and the TikToks there as well. But follow it. You'll get information there. You'll get funny shit. You also get information. You also get clips from the goddamn podcast itself.
Absolutely. So enjoy that there. Marcus, we have a 3-step process to success. Would you mind kicking us off with our first step?
Damn, it's almost a 2-hour podcast. The first step, read a book. That's probably my fault because I went on that tangent about those movies. Read a book. You want to read a book, and I got a couple books near me. I got a comic book in arm's reach. I got another book in arm's reach. And so read a book, read something. Knowledge is power, and your knowledge is power. Don't assume whatever somebody is telling you to be the full truth. Go find out for your goddamn self.
Absolutely. That is a great point. Step 2, drink some water. Look, y'all, we are entering into dry season. And make sure you drink some water. Keep yourself hydrated. It's good for you. It's good to keep yourself hydrated. It helps your bones, helps your joints. And it just helps you live a better life, helps you sleep better, helps you feel fuller. So if you're worried about eating one too many Christmas cookies, maybe have one and have a glass of water, fill you up a little bit, and enjoy your life. So also eat whatever you want to eat because life is short. So fuck it. So that's just where we're at. So, and Marcus, take us home to step 3, please, will you?
Step 3 is, y'all know what it is. Wash your ass. Okay. You got to wash your ass. Get in the crack. get in the crevices. Okay. Make sure you're getting suds in there, but also make sure you are washing those suds out. Dry soap is not good for the skin. So make sure you are rinsing off before. So give your body a rinse like washing a car. You want to rinse off your body before, then you want to get the soap, then you want to rinse the soap off. Then you know what I mean? Then you put on your little special. I got me a little strawberry scrub I put on my body. You know what I mean? It's good for the, good for the skin. And you just want to wash your ass. Make sure your ass is great. Wash your legs, wash your toes, your feet. Make sure you're getting water on the bottom of your feet.
Wash.
Jesus, just wash yourself and trade out your wash rags. You've been washing with that same wash rag for 2 months now. You forgot. You thought it was a new one, but it's not.
You came back from the holiday season and couldn't remember whether or not you replaced it. Well, you didn't. So you should. So definitely get after that.
Matter of fact, don't even wash it. Just throw that bitch away and grab a new one.
If it has holes in it, it's not doing its job anymore.
Jesus Christ.
But that does it for this week. Thank you all for joining us for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. We will be back next week with a movie review, and hope y'all have a great start to December. And in the meantime, in between time, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Catch y'all next week. I don't know what the name of